Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be providing an update on a company that we've talked about on the channel before. The company name is Peak Fintech Group. They've been on an absolute run since our last video came out a couple of months ago, and they've had a number of big announcements and developments at the company within the last couple of months here. So I wanted to get this video out, talk about their share price appreciation, talk about some of the big milestones this company has hit since our last deep dive on Peak, and get in front of you guys and talk about my future growth prospects for this company. Now before we get into it, you guys, please take a second to smash the like button. It's free to do. It helps both me and the channel out in a huge way, and it also gets this content to other people like yourself who may find value. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below if you did jump in on Peak Fintech in the last couple of months, if you're holding shares, and what you think about the big developments that have just come out from this company. Now without further ado, you guys, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today we're going to be talking about a company or giving an update that we've talked about on the channel previously. The company is Peak Fintech Group, ticker symbol PKK. Now this company, you guys, has been on an absolute tear over the last year. As you can see in the thumbnail, the company's up over 1,000% in the last 12 months. Now if we look back to September of 2020, you can see this company was trading under 70 cents Canadian. Now it had a massive pullback here in yesterday's trading session. So this is as of close on August 17th, so Tuesday night close. During Tuesday's session, you can see it gave up about $1.41 a share, which equates to just under 13%. So realistically, at the start of the week here, you guys, this company was touching the $11 per share mark, which is absolutely phenomenal considering this was a sub $1 stock just 12 months ago. Now you can see they've been on a fairly bullish run. They've had some pullbacks. At the end of June, this was still under $4. So if you've been watching this company for a while, hopefully you've pulled the trigger and made a move and initiated a position here. This has truly been one of the breakout penny stocks that we've talked about on this channel. Now in terms of market cap here, you guys, Yahoo shows them just over $600 million. You'll see in the investor presentation a little bit later in the video here, on a fully diluted basis, they have about 200 million shares. So based on this share price of just under 10 bucks, they're trading just under $2 billion Canadian. So I would not any longer call this a penny stock, but it definitely was one at one point just a couple of months ago. And as mentioned, there's been so much activity at Peak Fintech over the last couple of months. I really wanted to get this update video out and talk about some of these recent developments. So this was the initial video we did on Peak Fintech Group. You can see I released it on April 19th. The actual information was from April 13th. And at that point in time, you guys, this was a $3 Canadian stock. Now there was about 2,300 people who viewed this video. So hopefully some of those people actually took action and initiated a position in Peak. I was talking in this video about how I felt I had already missed the bull run as they were up about 10 or 20% in the last couple of trading days. And unfortunately, I sat on the sideline with this one, you guys. I did not initiate a position in Peak, and I'm sure kicking myself now because this could have easily been a 3 or 4x stock for me over the last couple of months. So for those of you who saw this video and decided to take action, or you already had a position in Peak, congratulations, you've done phenomenally well. And I'm super excited for any of my viewers who are able to make some money on this trade. Now, before we get into the recent news developments and talk about their business model in a little bit more detail, I wanted to give a quick high-level summary of what Peak Fintech Group actually does for those of you who are maybe unfamiliar or didn't have a chance to catch that last video. So in a nutshell, Peak is really focused on the commercial lending and loan space in the Chinese or Asian market. Their mission statement is to make China's commercial lending space more efficient and more transparent. Peak Fintech Group is the parent company of 6 different innovative financial technology or fintech subsidiaries, all of which operate in the Chinese commercial lending industry. And we're going to look at what each one of these individual 6 business units is actually about and where they generate revenue towards the end of the video here. But it is important to understand that they've got a number of these subsidiaries and they all service different aspects or niches within the lending community in China. Through its subsidiaries, Peak uses technology, analytics, and AI, or artificial intelligence, to create an ecosystem of lenders, borrowers, and other participants in the Chinese commercial lending space. They focus on conducting rapid, safe, and efficient transactions with the utmost transparency or openness for all members or stakeholders involved in these transactions. Now you can see below the 6 different business units. Above here you get a little bit better view of them. So 5 of them are branded under the Asia Synergy logo. They have an Asia Synergy Data Solutions, Financial Capital Division, Credit Solutions, Supply Chain Technology, and Information Technology. And their 6th division, which we'll refer to as GenX, is really focused on their loan brokerage platform. Now, a couple of recent developments that just came out in regards to PKK or Peak Fintech. This article came out July 20th, and I think this really was the catalyst for that massive share price growth we've seen over the last couple of months here. And what Peak did was they actually came out with expected revenue and earning guidance for 2021 all the way out to 2023. And this really gave investors a lot of confidence. This company has been all about M&A activity. They've been buying up companies. They've been adding members or users to their various platforms. It's a massive growth story here, you guys. And I think these numbers that we're going to look at in 1 second really gave investors or potential investors confidence in the business model and an understanding of how their growth trajectory is going to look over the next couple of years. So if you scroll down here, you guys, keep in mind at the time this article came out at the end of July, this company was still trading in the $5 range, so about $1 billion market cap. So they're estimating revenue for 2021 to come in just over $100 million, $104 million. And I should note this is in Canadian dollars, EBITDA of $12.5 million, and a net income of $5.6 million for the current calendar year. Now, where this starts to get really exciting, you can see next year, 2022, revenue nearly triples up to $300 million. EBITDA increases 5-fold to $59 million, and net income goes up to $36 million. Now, if that growth wasn't impressive enough, they do give guidance on 2023 as well. So keep in mind, a lot of things can change over the next couple of years in terms of the business model, company operations, leadership, whatever the case is. But based on their current estimates here, they have revenue coming in at $624 million, EBITDA at $155 million, and net income of just over $102 million. So based on the market cap at the time this article came out, they were trading at about 5 times estimated net income based on 2023 numbers and about 1.5 times expected revenue 2 years from now. So obviously investors in this company were super excited by these numbers. It really gave some confidence to the Peak Fintech model, and people were really excited about where this company was going. And that's exactly why we saw that share price essentially double from the end of July to the middle of August here. Now, next up, I wanted to look at the additional news releases that have come out in the last 30 days for Peak Fintech. There's been so many big press releases here, you guys. Now, we're not going to go into these in detail just due to time constraints of this video. But if you're invested in PKK or you're thinking about it, I would definitely take a look. There's been a ton of big developments, and you can see based on just the sheer volume of news releases how active this company truly is. So 7 days ago, one of Peak Fintech's Business Hub clients, so we're going to look at the Business Hub platform in a second here, earned exclusive distribution rights to Red Bull energy drinks in Asia, so that was massive. You can see 9 days ago they had a trading halt due to some of that big price action that we saw. 13 days ago they added 2 new banks to the Business Hub platform. 15 days ago they launched a new steel trading platform as part of their Business Hub ecosystem. 20 days ago, they acquired a minority stake in China's UnionPay subsidiary. 23 days ago, they began the acquisition process of a high-profile banking AI software platform. And then 29 days ago, the article we just saw, they reported that revenue and earnings guidance for the next couple of fiscal years. So just within the last 29 days here, you guys, they've had a number of big press releases, big articles come out. And if you continue to scroll down the list, you can see that the leadership team at Peak Fintech has been extremely active over the last few months. And that really does speak to their mindset of trying to consolidate the fragmented, confusing, and oftentimes frustrating lending environment in China. And that's a perfect segue to this slide here, which really identifies the problem that Peak has set out to solve. So as you guys know, I love companies that try and set out problems. This problem has a massive addressable market here, you guys. We're going to look at some of the overall lending numbers in China towards the end of the video. But in terms of TAM, or total addressable market, this truly is one of the biggest opportunities in the world right now. There's currently over 100 million small businesses in China, you guys. And the way the system is set up over there, it's extremely difficult for them to get access to credit. So as you can imagine, for small startups, it's virtually impossible to get the financing that you need to grow your business and build out your proof of concept in a meaningful way. And what that ultimately means is these business owners are essentially cold calling or knocking on bank doors, trying to secure financing, oftentimes being rejected or declined, which, as you can imagine, not only causes frustration, but really takes your attention and your energy away from your core business because you're focused on the behind the scenes financing or lending activity instead of actually serving your customers and making sales. So what Peak Fintech has done is they've really tried to centralize or pull all of these different aspects together in their lending hub platform or ecosystem. So you can see on the right here, they work with small, medium enterprises, banks, data providers, loan brokers, and lending institutions. They bring all of these players to the table and they then facilitate the communication and the interactions between each of the parties. Now, since 2018, Peak's Lending Hub ecosystem has helped facilitate almost $2.25 billion worth of transactions in Canadian dollars. And they now have over 31,000 businesses within their ecosystem. So in terms of the specifics or what they provide to these small businesses, they give them full access to any of the standard requirements that lenders would expect to see. So proper accounting software, bank statements, government documents, any other documentation they may need. They lay out the specific lending criteria that each different lender or lending institution is going to require. So whether that's sales targets, cash conversion cycles, various interest rates. It's very straightforward for the businesses to see what hoops they need to jump through and what the prerequisites are to get approved for these loans. And the bottom point here, which I think is so important, is it's free to join this ecosystem and you only pay when you actually partake in a transaction. So again, as you can imagine, small businesses, they don't have a lot of free money to be paying subscriptions or high entry fees into these sort of associations. So this pay-as-you-go model really works well for a lot of these startup or smaller type of enterprises. So this slide really talks about the Lending Hub ecosystem from a couple of different angles. So we saw some of the benefits to the actual small businesses, but we're also going to look at how this platform helps the banks and lending institutions along with the loan brokers involved in these transactions. And I think that's really the key to success for the Peak Fintech Group, is they're providing value to all of the different stakeholders involved in these transactions. So they don't just serve the small businesses, they don't just serve the banks, they actually generate or create value for all the different participants. So from the small business side, we talked about a couple of these. It's free to sign up. You can notice that's the number one point. They don't have to shop around or go knocking on bank doors anymore. Peak will actually bring the lenders to this platform for them. They've got a much better chance of actually securing funding because they already know the prerequisites and they're part of that ecosystem that has the track record or notoriety within the lending community. They can pre-qualify for credit that they can then access at any point in time, so they don't just need to apply when they actually need the loan. And as we mentioned on the last slide, there's several different options, interest rates, terms, lengths, whatever the case is, because there's a variety of lenders lined up to service their needs. Now, from the perspective of the bank or the actual lending institution, so the people giving out the money, the value prop here is they have no need to search for new clients. Peak or the Lending Hub platform will actually bring ideal clients or businesses to them. They can set out their lending criteria in advance and instantly qualify clients based on the criteria that they select. That in turn leads to minimized lending risk, which obviously banks are a huge fan of. They then save time and money because they've got this captive audience of people actively searching for loans. And that allows these institutions to grow their books or their lending portfolio Obviously, they're generating interest off those loans, and that ultimately drives their profitability as a business themselves. Now, for the loan brokers, these guys are based on commission, so they're going to see increased commission with increased volume of loans. They're going to minimize the number of leads that actually are wasted or don't result in a successful or approved loan, because both parties are motivated and qualified to make these transactions happen. And very similar to the SMEs, they don't have to go searching or shopping around for people that are interested in getting loans, which means less wasted time, less time gathering data and building files for potentially interested lenders or loan recipients. So you can see here, you guys, regardless of which of the three angles you're looking at, the Lending Hub platform really streamlines the process for all stakeholders involved. It's way more efficient than the current status quo system here in China. And for those reasons, they're getting a ton of traction with the small to medium enterprise segment. And that's why we're seeing those massive numbers, 31,000 plus businesses involved in the program. So now that we've talked about the need for this type of service in China, we've talked about the Lending Hub platform itself, looked at some of the recent developments and share price move in PKK. I wanted to do a quick summary on what each of these different 6 business divisions or subsidiaries really focuses on and where they generate their revenue. Now, in my initial deep dive video that we did previously on the channel, we go into a lot more detail on each one of these subsidiaries, so I'd highly recommend you take a look at that video as well. But this slide does a fairly good job of giving a rough understanding of what each of these 6 components actually does. Now, you'll see the Lending Hub platform makes its way into a few of these different divisions, and the Lending Hub ecosystem really is the bread and butter of Peak Fintech at this point in time. So first up is the Asia Synergy Data Solutions division. This is what actually manages the Lending Hub ecosystem. They earn their money from service fees related to Lending Hub transactions. So as we saw, people only pay when a transaction is actually brokered. That's where those service fees would come into play, and that's where revenue is generated for Peak in that division. Next up is their Asia Synergy Financial Capital subsidiary. This is actually an in-house lending and financial service provider. So similar to other banks and lenders on the platform, they're actually going to earn interest or income on the loans that they give out from this division. And I think this subsidiary has a lot of potential growth down the road, because Peak can really pick and choose the most lucrative opportunities or the most lucrative loans to broker within their own ecosystem or platform. Next up is the Credit Solutions division. This is a provider of credit outsourcing services to banks and lenders. So not necessarily focused on the small businesses, but more so on the lending side of the equation. They're going to earn money or revenue through service fees that they charge to manage loans on behalf of various banks or lenders. Now, as we scroll down here, you can see their supply chain technology. This is the marketer of supply chain related services within the Lending Hub platform. So in addition to brokering loans, they also help companies with their supply chain needs or services. And again, I think there's tremendous growth potential here as they start to work with more and more of these businesses. They develop or curate those relationships. Companies are going to start to trust Peak, and they're going to want to leverage more of their solutions, supply chain being one of them. And as we've all seen, supply chain issues are very common right now. So I think anything companies, specifically small businesses, can do to streamline that process is going to be extremely welcomed by business owners. Now, in terms of revenue generation, Peak charges service fees, again related to the supply chain transaction. So very similar to what we see with their data solutions. You're only charge service fees when you actually conduct a transaction on the platform. They then have their Asia Synergy Technologies division. This is the business unit that's really focused on product procurement and that associated platform, which is also linked to the Lending Hub platform. So very similar to supply chain, but this actually allows users to gain assistance in ordering products based on some of the pre-existing financing. Again, this is a service fee model based on each individual transaction. And then finally, last but not least, the GenX platform. They manage the loan brokerage platform, which is also linked or integrated into the Lending Hub. So you can see it's kind of a hub and spoke model, no pun intended. Lending Hub is in the middle, and then each one of these various divisions or spokes branches out and is a complementing or supporting piece of the solution for the end user. Now, in terms of revenue structure here, this one is a membership model. They also charge service fees to the loan sales reps and the loan brokerage companies. So they've got a couple different revenue streams and a little bit different than some of the other subsidiaries that we just talked about. Now, as we start to wrap this video up, you guys, I wanted to talk about the future growth prospects. Obviously, Peak share price has run up tremendously over the last year. And similar to what I said in my last video on them, sometimes it's difficult to start buying into a company that you've seen appreciate so much in price in such a short duration of time. You start to wonder, is there much upside potential left, or has a lot of the future growth already been priced into this company? So I think this slide is important just to give an idea of the total addressable market here, and then we're going to talk about some of their future growth prospects. So if you recall a few slides ago, we mentioned the Lending Hub platform had over 30,000 small medium enterprises as part of their ecosystem. Based on December 2018, so these numbers are very outdated, you guys, there was over 43 million SMEs within China. So Peak really is only scratching the surface, not to take away anything from their results, but there is a massive audience and market for these type of services. Now, in terms of the total loan value, again, from 2018, over $25 trillion in Canadian dollars, according to the People's Bank of China. So absolutely insane amount of money changing hands here each year, you guys. There's nearly 8,400 non-bank lenders within China. On average, it's about a 1 to 2 week turnaround time in terms of loan application or the decision on those loan applications. In addition to the non-bank lenders, there's actually over 4,000 chartered banks within the country. And as an overall percentage of all the commercial loans made in 2018, small medium enterprises and what they call micro enterprises made up nearly a quarter or 24% of all that activity. Now, speaking of micro enterprises, if you look at the number of those businesses within China, there's an additional 73 million. They describe a micro business as any company with 9 or less employees. So if you add this number with the 43 million small medium enterprises, you can see we're well over 100 million potential business opportunities for Peak Fintech. And for that reason, you guys, I truly think they really are just getting started in this market, not to mention expansion opportunities outside of China. So yes, the share price has run up a lot over the last 12 months. Yes, it can be frightening buying into a company that's seen such rapid share price appreciation, but I do think it would be fine to at least initiate a position in Peak if you've been watching them for some time, because for all we know, this company may continue to run just like we've seen with Amazon or some of these other big tech companies, and in another 12 months' time, this could easily be a $20 or $30 stock, and we're sitting here looking back at this video saying, hey, why didn't we pull the trigger? So this one is still on my watch list. I've yet to start a position, and in my personal opinion, this would be a great company to start dollar cost averaging into if you're looking for exposure to the fintech space, specifically in China or Asia. Now, the last slide I wanted to talk about was some of their future growth and expansion plans. So as you can see here, there's been a lot of activity at Peak already over the last couple of quarters, but the 4 big opportunities that they're looking at right now are citywide financial centers, which are really powered by the Lending Hub. So replicating the success they've seen in some of the trial cities here, but really integrating their Lending Hub ecosystem or solution to a number of new cities across China. Second point here is coming up with industry-specific solutions, so very similar to what we saw with the supply chain business unit here, but getting involved in other disciplines or verticals such as trucking, transportation, vehicle dealerships, whatever the case is, to really service their clients in a holistic way and take care of their needs from a number of different angles. They want to launch new and more powerful e-commerce portals or solutions, so expand their ecosystem to online merchants, which we're starting to see here. They're starting to work with some of the social media influencers and clients within that realm, and they've seen a lot of success. So Peak really wants to continue to focus on e-commerce portal adoption. And then the fourth point, which I mentioned on the last slide, is possibilities to expand their service outside of China. So potentially other markets in Asia or across the world. So as you can see, guys, Peak has been extremely busy over the last 12 months. Based on this presentation, it looks like they've got a lot more activity coming down the pipe or on the roadmap. This is a company I'm extremely excited about over the next couple of years and decades. I think this is a massive opportunity here. There really aren't a lot of other competitors that have this immersive ecosystem type of solution and really make it this easy for all the different participants or stakeholders to conduct transactions on their platform. So that's it for today's video, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below if you're currently holding shares of Peak, what you think about these recent developments and their future growth prospects moving forward. As always, please feel free to subscribe to the channel McNallie Money if you're not already a member of the community, and make sure you smash that like button, you guys. It really does help get this content to other people like yourself who may find value. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.